It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend, here on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event, they are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
WFO Radio Auto Club Finals edition of NHRA Nitro. Hey, everybody, I'm Joe Castello, and thank you so much for downloading this podcast. Just so you know, we are going to continue WFO Radio through and into the winter break. I know we got Thanksgiving coming up, Black Friday, all of that stuff. This particular year, the NHRA and NASCAR Cup season finales are on the same weekend. So, of course, I'm headed to California for the Auto Club Finals, while a lot of the racing world is coming to my town for NASCAR and the Ford 400. Bottom line, we're going to cover them all, Ignition and NHRA Nitro. And on this edition of NHRA Nitro, you are going to hear Brittany Force. I caught up with Brittany out there at the SEMA show, which was incredible. So many people, so many cool cars, interesting things, all of that. We're also going to hear from NHRA's Alan Reinhart as we get ready for the Auto Club Finals. I know a lot of people are on their way. They're headed to California. They're towing out there. They're doing their thing. They're already there. They're sitting around. Whatever they're doing, this show is for you guys, and we encourage you to subscribe where we last left off. It was a Winter Circle show out there at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And then I was in Vegas for 10 days, and it was insane. I've got a million stories. But what it is, it's so hard to recollect what they are. Because, like, one just covers the next, whether it was an amazing race and all the things that happened out there, the costumes, the excitement, the fun. Best race on the tour, bar none. There it is. I said it. Best race on the tour. But then the racing, the Brittany versus Steve final round, all of these things, now they have sunk in a little bit. Hopefully you heard Matt Hagan. Hopefully you heard Erica Enders. Hopefully you heard Matt Smith, who picked up the win. That was a great Winter Circle show. You got a lot of genuine emotion. The Erica interview was fantastic. Hagan was amazing. It practically picked me up. All kinds of great stuff. Can have Alan Reinhart, maybe not in the traditional order on this show. And you're going to get a little more of my thoughts and opinions. It has occurred to me that there might be a person or two that is interested in what I have to say. I know. Who would have thunk it? But first, most importantly, hanging out at the SEMA show, saw a lot of the people who helped make this thing happen, like Total Seal Piston Rings, like Keith and Matt and the guys over there at Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, swinging by their booth, hanging out. We've got new Total Seal engine builder themed content coming your way real soon. Jason Line going to be one of the guests talking about Total Seal Piston Rings, but most importantly, it is to build the education of why Total Seal is the leader in ring seal technology. They make tools, they're made in America, from stock eliminator to over-the-road cars to Formula One and Top Fuel. Total Seal fits the rings. It's amazing stuff. MagicDryUS.com. Scott Palmer back out there in Vegas, which was very, very cool. Magic Dry spill kits for your shop, for your factory, for any size. It weighs less, so you can travel with it. It absorbs more. It's made of an all-natural, naturally replenishing product, which is coconut, which is why it is the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. Right? Simple as that. Samtech.edu, hanging out with Brian Massengill out there. Good times. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Whether you want to become a machinist, a CNC machinist, an electronic fuel injection tuning expert, They can give you the core foundational knowledge. And what's fun is like hanging with Brian and the Massengill family, hanging with Brian out there, you get to realize all the people that are graduates that are out there working at SEMA. They're all graduates, not everybody, but a lot of them. And this one has ascended to this level in this company, and this one has ascended to this level in that company, and they need more students, and everybody's desperate, and they're pulling on Brian like, hey, man, we need more students, and he needs more students because the world needs smart, go-getting, educated people who know how to do this stuff, who get what it's about, go-getters, and that's what you can become. Go to samtech.edu today. Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, Marvin Rodak. Holidays are coming. I keep saying it over and over again. Hopefully it's working for you. Trust me. Your friends or family members or colleagues or business clients, when they open a box of coffee from Marvin Rodak, they're going to love it. It's an extra sensory experience. Get a pound of coffee, roasted fresh per your order, bottle of hot sauce, spice rub, holiday packs. Everybody loves it. They love it. Not only do they love it on Christmas Day, but they get to enjoy it for several weeks and maybe even longer. Go to Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Banner ad up on WFORadio.com. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. To me, this is the ultimate gift. And, you know, it's holiday time now. It's coming. Like it or not, it's coming. What are you going to get? What's the wowzer gift, the one that everybody's going to love? Send them on the Dragster Adventure. Don't fight me on this. They pick when and where. You just pay for it, and they redeem the gift card, the gift certificate. And they travel all around the country. They're going west, they're going east, they're going Midwest. They're all over the place. Go to the website, frankhawley.com, and see exactly where they are going. So Total Seal, Magic Drive, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Rodak's, Samtech, on board with WFO Radio, Drag Racing Edge, and EV3 Drag Racing. Also, long-standing promotional relationships. And thank you to all of you folks out there. Saw Brett Underwood from Drag Racing Edge magazine out there. So many great stories, so many people to connect with. But I walked end to end, hall to hall, long way to catch up with this next racer. Yes, she's starting the show. Brittany Force, getting the job done out there in Vegas, taking down Steve-O in the final round. I was unable to catch up with her out there because it was just too chaotic. But we caught up with Brittany Force at the SEMA show to talk about the Auto Club finals. And let me tell you, she is fired up. Let's hear from Brittany. WFO Radio here at the SEMA show, getting ready for the Auto Club finals with Brittany Force. Brittany, getting ahead of it because you're busy, I'm busy, we're both busy. You are 16 points out of the championship lead going into the final race. You've won championships in the past. Where's your mindset at right now?
Right now, I'm feeling confident with this whole Advanced Auto Parts team, David Grebnick, Max Savage, all the boys. We're in a very good position. Coming into Vegas, we said we needed to go rounds and we needed to win the thing, and we needed to pick up bonus points in qualifying, grab as much as we can to move closer to that one spot. And we pulled it off and did it. So I'm very proud of this group. Feeling good going into Pomona.
Was that your most satisfying single victory?
Oh, that was huge for our team. We haven't won since Houston in the beginning of the season, so that win's a big one. It's Las Vegas, one of my favorite tracks. I've always wanted to win here. I've been racing here, Supercomp, the A-Fuel, always wanted to win here, so it felt good to do it, but really at the right time, we did it. We're in the hunt for a championship right now, and we needed to make some big moves this weekend, and we did.
If you step out of yourself and just look at it from drag racing fan perspective, could you have scripted a better final conclusion? The last two champs plus Doug Coletta still in the mix, I don't think we could have written it out better.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable everything that went down this weekend. We grabbed the record this weekend, mile per hour 338. We qualified. We were one, got bumped to two. But to line up with Steve Torrance, the guy that's out ahead of us, the guy we're chasing in the final, yeah, you couldn't have scripted it any better. But that's why the sport is so awesome.
And David Grebnick, was he able to reference the record run in the final round? Same lane, similar conditions, and it just looked like he was able to get right back to where he was on that run.
Yeah, I was shocked by that run. Obviously, we've had a good race car all weekend long, but to run low of the weekend in the final, there's nothing better than that.
And, in outlaw racing, there's a gap, right? Where you beat the competition by more than a car length. And there was a gap between your Advanced Auto Parts dragster and the Capco dragster. I hear they tested. You know, you went through Austin, who's sitting by your side. You went through Billy. You went through Steve. It's great racers all around. But now you got to go through that fight again. So talk a little bit about how you're going to handle yourself over this final event.
Right now, you know, we were at SEMA all day yesterday, SEMA today, and then we pack up and go home tonight. And I wish we jumped right into Pomona. I hate having this off weekend. It's just painful to sit around and think about it. But I'm going to get back in the gym, have some chats with my dad like I always do, and just get ready for Pomona. Not just me, but my crew chiefs, my entire team, and we'll be ready when it gets here. We're gonna throw down, and we're gonna fight for our championship.
The gym, you mentioned the gym several times over the course of the thing. That seems to be like a key part of your success.
I feel when I'm driving my car, I feel the best when I've been working out, and I believe every little bit helps. I'll do anything I can, to feel my best when I'm driving that car, and we're going to go for it. We're going to try to pull it off.
And the whole John Force Racing team has had such a strong year. Robert, your dad, you, even Austin, both ends of the national record in both Nitro categories. John Force Racing is, if not at the peak of always, is certainly close to it.
I know. This season's been incredible for all of us. My dad grabbed 150 wins. Austin Prock, Ricky out here, grabbed his first win, and Robert's in the points lead right now. And we're 2 in points, so I mean it could be an incredible season. That's what we're going for. It already has been, but we'd like to finish it off right.
Well, Brittany, thank you for taking the time. Good luck this weekend. If this thing isn't a packed house, I don't know what's going to bring them out. We got a little bit of everything. Good luck.
Thank you. I'm excited to get there.
Brittany Force at the SEMA show. It was amazing. First of all, the Force family there in Force. John, Robert, Austin was there. Brittany was there. It was really cool to see them interacting with the crowd and all. And I caught them when they went to lunch, which was interesting. And I had to go. It was an amazing journey, a trek. That interview was so worthwhile because I went from... If we were at SEMA, you got to understand, here's the thing about SEMA. We're going to get to Alan Reinhart just moments from now, hopefully. SEMA is big. And not only is it big, as in there's a lot of distance to cover, but there's a lot of people in between you and where you want to go. And it is a very interesting experience. Now, why was I there? I was there for Performance TV, which is going to start airing in January on Motor Trend Network on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday morning. I'm not sure of the exact date and time just yet, meaning Saturday or Sunday. Typically, it has been Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m., but we'll give you all that stuff real soon. Me and Kathy Fisher, it's going to be great. But we're running around SEMA doing interviews, highlighting cool cars, cool products, sponsors of the show that happen to be there, etc. And at SEMA, like when I first got there and I first saw the building, I thought, dread, a feeling of dread, because I knew what it was going to be. It was going to be 4 days of swimming upstream, fighting crowds of millions of people. Well, on one particular day, we had this interview scheduled with Brittany, and I was in the South Hall upstairs, right? All the way in the very, very back corner. If you went to SEMA, you know that. South Hall, upper backhand corner, as far away as you can be. And I had to go all the way to the West Gate. Oh, West Gate. So what was this? I don't know, like 3 miles, man. And so I set out on the journey, and I'm going, and I'm swimming upstream, and there's people, like literally thousands of people, and I'm walking past people, and there's Leah, and there's this one, and there's people I know, and I'm just zooming. And I go, and I get there, and I get that interview that you just heard. And it was very busy all around. Like everybody has got their eyes rolled back in their head because it's a very intense experience out there. Fun, but intense. Did the interview, hung out for a few minutes, enjoyed lunch, blazed out. Guess where I had to go? South Hall Upper. Back to where I started. The furthest possible point. It was crazy. It was a crazy scene, but fun. All right, without further ado, let's get into it with the voice of the NHRA. He called the action out there in Vegas, both for the national and for the final divisional of the year, and we'll be calling the action for the Auto Club finals this weekend in Pomona. Alan Reinhart. Alan, how are you?
Joe, I'm boycotting. You didn't want me last week, and that hurt my feelings. So, I'll just answer a couple of yes or no questions this week, and that's going to be it.
Okay. How long will the boycott last?
Well, it depends on, your apology, how much you're willing to suck up.
Dear sir, Listen, the way we didn't even put together a show until the Winter Circle. It was chaotic last year. You were off doing TV stuff last week, I think. I don't know. I ran off to do the Ferris wheel with Joe Amato.
So you did this to save me from having to put in the extra effort. You were only thinking of me. Is that what you're saying?
This is all for you, Alan. I wanted to give you a break. Figured you were tired at the end of the day, like I was. We were all tired.
Well, that was a hell of a race, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about, because my memory only goes, you have seen another race since the race that I saw that I thought was a hell of a race, so maybe there was another hell of a race. But yes, and let's just pause right there. Like, I want the audience to know that the second Vegas race, Vegas 2, is now, in my opinion, hands down the best race on the tour because of all the extra stuff, the championships, the Halloween, the fact that it's a pivotal race in the countdown, the fact that you can get 1,000 great meals everywhere at any time of the day. It's an awesome race. The proximity to the track, it's just such a great race. It's my favorite race on the tour. Normally I don't like to say that, Alan, but it's great. And you were there for another week.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good one. Vegas 2 is, as you said, with all the pressure that's on the line, and everybody that if you really think you're a contender, then you better step up because you get left in the dust pretty quick if you don't. And the weather was perfect. The racing surface in Vegas is legendary, and so it was throwdown time. It's so much fun when two cars pull the line every time, and you really don't know what's going to happen. You know as well as I do. There's races we get out there whether it's really hot or really this or really that, and everybody's struggling, and you can kind of pencil in half the ladder before you even start the first car. But with Vegas, since we had the good conditions all week long, everybody had a real good comfort zone and a good handle on the racetrack. Nobody was going into race day guessing, and it was just, in my view, a wildly entertaining race.
Wildly. And I mentioned Joe Amato just for the name drop, but he said that this was the most exciting race he had seen in 10 years, that they had a great time. They were just there hanging out, right? We had a lot of legends in the house, which was super cool, but the excitement, electricity, the just whatever that extra layer of that comes in every once in a while, it was there and it was thick and everybody was just buzzing about it. And now we get to go through the exciting conclusion. What we did not get to do last week, though, was to do a breakdown of the pivotal moments. I want to do that, but in the interest of you just got out of the racetrack yesterday with the final divisional, I would like you to update us on what went on there first, if you don't mind. Like, I know some potential championships were decided, and it was many cars. Top Dragster had a crazy, I think 3 cars went 610 or maybe more in qualifying. Just give us a summary, best as you can.
Well, you started with Top Dragster. Let's start with that. There were actually 4 cars that qualified at 6.10 something, which were leading the field. They expand the field here at the last regional of the year, simply because there are so many championship scenarios, and because they don't run Top Dragster in Pomona, anybody that's got a shot at anything, this is their last chance. So they expand the field to 64 cars, and that makes it a wild show. We still ended up with a 6-second bump spot, even with 64 cars. And then in the just craziness throughout the course of the weekend, it was good racing all weekend long. In the semifinals, Al Kenny won his semifinal, and he came in needing to win the race to win the Division I championship. That's a big part of the reason that he drug the stuff all the way out here from Pennsylvania, because if he won the race, he would be the Division I champ. Anything else, and he wouldn't. And after he won his semifinals, the next 2 cars pulled up in the burnout box, both leaking oil, shut them both off, pushed them both off the line. And Kenny had a single in the final for the championship. And he said he'd never been so nervous in his life. He literally started the car, drove around the water box, just idled up and took the tree. And he said he literally said he'd never been so nervous in his life. He said, this thing, it's like, are you sure it's not making a funny noise? What if it quits? What am I going to do? But he idled up, took the tree, was declared the race winner, and with that won the Division I championship. And, that was just one of them. There were 5 guys here from Division 5 that were all chasing the Super Street championship. Nick Seibert, who came in front, went out, I believe, in the quarterfinals. And the last 2 cars down the racetrack Sunday afternoon, Troy Grant won the race and won the division championship by 2 points. But all weekend long, it was like that Dave Rowe from the Fast News Network keeping track of points, and Mike Bryce is keeping track of points, and we've got our sheets spread all over the deal. And I'm telling you, it's literally like every 10 minutes. It's like, if I'm not mistaken, that wraps up Super Gas in Division 4, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, well, this guy fell short, so now we know who the stock champ is in Division 2, right? Yep, that's what I got too. We'll go with that. And it's just a fun weekend because there are so many people there on such vastly different agendas, and it's just fun to be a part of.
Amazing stuff. So let's, super stock. Vic Penrod holds on over Kyle Rizzoli, Joe Santangelo. All three of those guys won a lot of races this year. Good year for everybody. But Vic, with that 69 Camaro that I love, because it's a little rough, he's a champ.
Yeah, and it's Rizzoli came in. Actually, his stock eliminator car had been giving him some headaches, so he just left it at home. They brought a car that they were running in Super Street, just an LS-powered car they got laying around for his second car, but he didn't want to be distracted with having problems with the stocker, trying to race and win with Super Stocker, and just couldn't make it happen. Jimmy DeFrank ended up winning the race. What a shock, right? Jimmy DeFrank wins a race on the West Coast, but that was one of them that was decided here. And it was interesting. Joe Santangelo wasn't here, and that surprised me a little bit because I really thought there was solid possibility that he could fly in and borrow a car from somebody. He certainly is respected enough that if he made a couple of phone calls, somebody would give him one. But I think he just decided that, we had a good year. Let's just call it good, and we'll come back and try again next year. I also think he was pretty heartbroken over the Stock Eliminator Championship getting away because he had a really solid points year in Stock Eliminator, and Allison Dahl was just unconscious. When's the last time somebody, not counting the alcohol cars because we've seen some of those dominant over the years, but when's the last time you remember somebody winning a division with a perfect claim? Yeah,
I don't know. We talked about that. She won every divisional race. She won all her divisional races. That's amazing.
Yeah, and when you do that, you don't have to add a lot on the national level. She had an okay year on the national event level, but she had a perfect year on the division level, and it ended up being enough that she's going to win the championship there. So, I think Joe Santangelo was probably just throwing his hands up in the air and going, all right, I've had enough this year. We'll come back and try it again next year. But he certainly is, very capable and has great equipment.
All right. So what about the .90 categories? Anything continuing on to the finals?
Well, Brian Pressler's still alive in Supercom. He has to win Pomona by my count in order to pass Ray Miller. A tall task, but certainly not an impossible one. Somebody's going to win Pomona. Might as well be Brian, right?
Sure.
And Super Gas, I think there's still a couple of guys that are in the mix because there are a lot of guys that still have a national event to claim, but it's going to be the same thing. Guys are going to have to go a lot of rounds.
All right. And so what about Top Sportsman?
Over. Doug Crumlich had to win the race to pass Sandy Wilkins. Sandy was not here, and I texted back and forth with him a couple of times during the course of the weekend, and he said, one of these years he's going to have to, but he is, starting his own business, leaving Roush after all those years, and just has to get everything back there up and running. So he figured, that's my score. If somebody can beat it, they can beat it. Doug Crumlich would have had to win the race to pass him, and Doug went out in the quarters. So, he made a run at it, gave a couple of rounds anyway, and Sandy was paying real close attention watching on NHRA Racer TV, as were a number of people around the country while we were getting it done. But Sandy is the champ there in Top Sportsman. Of course, we already knew that Danny Nelson is the champ in Top Dragster.
Oh, it's good for the Sand Flea. He's been close so many times, right? Great racer, very nice guy, races hard, and just, coming up short. Like, he's been in the top 5 for many, many years, and now he's got one. That's super exciting. Wow, had to be a great race. Who won? I know the championships are decided, but what about the alcohol ranks, dragster and funny car?
Alcohol dragster, there was a 5:29 that didn't qualify, if that'll give you an idea how fast it was out there.
Wow. All right.
We had 4 blower cars and 4 injected cars in the 8-car field. Low ET was 5:22 and the bump was 5:29. After the first round, all the injected cars were spectators. And, what are the odds? It doesn't matter where the venue, what the field, what the weather, Joey Severance and Sean Cowie are going to find a way to race each other. And they ended up running in the final round. And from because sometimes it's just bizarre, Sean Cowie had, I'm assuming, an ignition problem. I didn't talk to him afterwards, but it was on 7 cylinders on a burnout. It was on 7 cylinders when it was idling. It was on 7 cylinders when he revved it up. It was on 7 cylinders when he dropped the clutch. And Joey blew the blower off at half track, and Sean Cowie won the race. So it's like, come on, man, really? But it was just, one of those races. If you couldn't run 20s, don't even bother. And we saw a lot of that. And then in the alcohol funny car ranks, Sean Bellamir's just got kryptonite right now. I mean, the only possible way he could lose a race at this point in time is if something stupid happened, like, let's say his throttle stuck on the burnout. So, of course, his throttle stuck on the burnout, and that ended his day in the semifinals and the final round. And it was the same thing in funny car. You had to run 550s if you wanted to win. Wolfgang Anders put up a 547 in round number one, and that got everybody's attention. But then he smoked the tires in the semifinals. He was done. The final round ended up with Annie Whiteley winning it with a 553 to a 555. And again, just a tremendous race. It was, it was just exactly like it was for the Nationals weekend. The weather was perfect. The track was spectacular. And it was throwdown time. Nobody was tiptoeing out there. You came up and, you think your car's fast? Come on, show me. And it was just a wildly fun, exciting race.
Very exciting, and so we got a couple of championships left for the Auto Club finals in the Lucas Oil Series, but the majority of champions have been decided, and Vegas, such an amazing place. Next year, I think I'm going to have to stick around for the divisional. I flew back to South Florida on Saturday just to get a couple of days here and then flying to Pomona early this week. Let's now kick it back to the Mellow Yellow Series in Vegas and set the table for our championship conversation, which is Brittany, Steve, Doug, with Billy with a, wild outside chance, right? Like highly unlikely. It would require a miracle. All three of those guys and gal going out early. But, you got to mention his name because the math doesn't say so. That having all been said, I really think that, Brittany and Steve, like that, what we saw going to the final, them racing each other in the final, and now Brittany just 16 points and having the sass to say Steve's shaking in his boots. Man, this is as entertaining as it gets, and I don't know which way it's going to go.
I don't think anybody knows which way it's going to go. In a mildly surprising to me, I mean, I think and most of the insiders know, testing is really not Torrance's thing.
No.
They've got really good race cars. They got really good equipment. They cycle parts out. They're as good as it gets as far as the top fuel team. But Monday after Vegas, both Billy and Steve stayed and ran their cars. So I think, I don't think for a second that Steve is shaking his boots. I'd love that Brittany said it, but I do think that he knows he doesn't have a decided advantage and needs to put in a little extra effort to make this happen. And that's, certainly what they were doing Monday. So it should be fun. I really hope that they get to race for it. I think heartbroken is the best thing for Doug Coletta, and everybody in the place just went, when the parachutes came out on the burnout. I'm not saying it's gospel truth, but I am told that they traced the problem to a short in the antenna for the emergency shutoff system that just activated when Doug did the burnout, killed the car, threw the parachutes out on the starting line, and I'm not saying the championship's over, but he really needed to try to win that round. And when you just sit there and watch, it's devastating when you don't even get to take your shot. But, they'll go to Pomona, loaded up and ready to go. So we'll see what happens. I do believe it's down to those three. And I hope at some point during the course of Sunday, Brittany and Steve race heads up, because it's always better when it ends up that way.
Well, exactly. And the way this final shaped up, first of all, Doug Coletta, wow, what a person, right? Like the disappointment could not have been thicker. And when I went over to him, chased him down around the corner, I was like, Doug, you okay with this? And he's like, yeah. And he wanted to talk. And he said, there's something brief, but he at least spoke, right? Whereas a lot of people would have just stormed away, and he just took it and faced down the disappointment of the moment. But the Britt and Steve, first of all, what a race for Brittany Force, right? She goes through Austin Prock, which has been tough on her. Austin, the amazing lever that he is, she got through her teammate, which has been a challenge. And she gets through.
How many people do you think, both in venue, watching on TV, or following along on the internet, saw Brittany and Austin lined up, just automatically went, oh, well, he's going to give that to her because she needs it for the championship?
Some, but I don't know. I don't think the kid's given anything to anybody. Like, that kid doesn't seem to
and
be that type.
It ended up being 2,000th at the stripe.
Yeah,
and,
left on her.
Well,
right. He was going for her throat. This is exactly what he was doing.
But I honestly think that there were plenty of people, especially the internet world, that were just absolutely convinced that, oh, well, he's going to smoke the tires. He's just going to give it to her because she needs it for the championship. And it's like, Sorry, guys, that ain't the way it goes.
And
but,
expected
anyway,
that this is the same people that expected that Greg was going to give it to Jason a few weeks ago, and they will forever. Mm-hmm. They will always just do that, regardless. That Billy was going to give it to Steve a few races ago. Which, by the way, how important are those points right now? Just saying. But Billy had a shot at Brittany, and Brittany goes through Billy. The whole reason Billy is out there was for a moment like that, and he had lived up to that every time, except for this one. She left on him and beat him on a hole shot, a little baby hole shot, but a hole shot nonetheless. To get to the final round against Steve in the final round, and Brittany just thumped him. Like if it was Stevie Fast, right? What do we say? Crushed him. Like left first and drove away. And there was a gap between the cars. 365 low ET the meet. That's how you do it. That was awesome final.
I actually said in the winner's circle that, if you beat both Capco cars on the same day, you deserve a trophy. And, Brittany certainly earned that. That has only happened one other time this year. And I get it that Billy doesn't race every race, but to beat both Capco cars on the same day is a stunning accomplishment. And they just flat went out and did it. David Grubnick right now seems to know something that nobody else in the pits has figured out, at least as far as running speed. When that thing went 338 miles an hour on Friday, everybody went, "What's that scoreboard say?" And that was a stunning run in itself. But I think that kind of sent the message to everybody that, hey, we are for real, and don't get in our way because we'll run you over.
The championship, scenarios like the Doug Coletta thing, we all know. The Doug is the heartfelt underdog. He did win Indy this year, so we got one of them off the desk. But that would be nice. Steve, if Steve wins, Steve is 1-2 out of the last 3 years, still the face, the brash, talking loud, living his life how he wants to, kind of champ, and Capco dominance. If Brittany were to win this championship, I think that would be she wins 2 out of 3 championships. And she takes down the Steve Torrance train again, like that. Either way it goes, it sets up for a great, fun rivalry for the next several years.
I agree. And like I said, I just hope that I hope the players get a chance to go head-to-head when we get out to Pomona. Because it just, it won't be, believe me, Steve will take it. But if all 3 of them lose in the first round, that'll be kind of anticlimactic. So I just, hopefully that, the weather looks like it's going to be a little warm for this time of year for Pomona anyway. And it should be a fun race. I hope the fans come out to watch it because it should be a heck of a show.
They better. There's not going to be a consequence if they don't, Alan, but I would be so disappointed, right? Like, this is what we all want. We want a race that comes down to the end between 2 well-known, popular drivers that are good, that are going at it with teams and Grubnick, you got Hogan, you got Lagana, you got all these guys in there. It doesn't get more exciting than this. It just doesn't. And the people that ho-hum this, they're not real fans. That's it. All right, let's move to Funny Car, where we have a similar situation, right? Matt Hagan, all of a sudden, they are on rails. In last week's interview from the Winner's Circle, he was super happy. He was like, grabbing me in the media center. Like he was shocked that he's in this position. He's got a shot. Now, Robert Height's still a favorite. Don't get me wrong. I'll take the points. 46 up on Beckman, 56 up on Hagan, 72 up on Force. But if Hagan beats Robert in the semis and then wins the race, he's the champ, depending on qualifying points, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's the way it should be. The thing that I think that if I'm Matt Hagan, the thing that makes me most nervous of all is Robert Height's record in Pomona. That place has been really good to him. And he's, it's his sponsor's track, it's his sponsor's race, it's home for them, and they have always run very well there. If I'm Matt, I'm going, hey, can we move this race to Topeka? Let's just do something else here.
Right.
Because, there's obviously no such thing as a home field advantage in drag racing, but if there was, Robert seems to have the home field advantage, and I think that puts the thumb on his side of the scale a little bit.
Without a doubt. And Hagan, beating Johnny Lindbergh. I know there were a lot of people rooting for Johnny just so that Johnny could get a win because he's such an ace, and you want to see Jim Head get a win. That would have been the kind of heartfelt thing, but typically countdown drivers win countdown races. But Matt Hagan, 87.6, Dickie Venables has got that thing figured out, and to win 3 in a row and win out in the countdown and maybe win the championship, that would be a great way to do it. On the other hand, you mentioned Robert. They're kind of stumbling down the stretch a little bit. that happened, losing to Beckman, second round, those two, like slugfest. Beckman with the letdown run after beating Robert, right? Beats Robert, leaves first 047, gets hole-shotted by Lindbergh in the semis. That's going to be one that people think about for a long time.
Well, Beckman said, though, at the top end when he was interviewed after the run, and one of the things I like about Jack, he has a tendency sometimes to overanalyze things, but he is very straight. And he said flat out in the interview, I got lucky. He said, my foot was moving before and I'm like, oh, my God, no, what are we? And the green light came on. So he wasn't taking any credit for, look at me, I'm the best driver in the world. He just knows that he kind of got away with one there. And, you come back in the next round, and I think Jack would probably tell you the same thing because, again, he's, you know him, he's just such a deep thinker, and he goes through everything to try to find a way to get stronger, a way to get better. But I think you go up there the round after that and go, oh, man, I got away with one last time. Don't make a mistake this time. And at that point, you're overthinking it a little bit.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. It's hard to let go of what happened a little bit earlier. Bottom line, though, he gets beaten by Johnny Lindbergh, other side of the ladder. Matt Hagan beating Tasca for the third time in the countdown. And that's going to be, look at Tasca sitting fifth overall, 104 back. He could be right in the middle of this, if not for Matt Hagan, getting after him a couple races in a row. But bottom line, Robert, Jack, Hagan, I feel like the champion's going to come out of those three. No offense to John Force, love John, but as you've said every week, right? Getting further than one guy, you can do it. Getting farther than three guys, three of the best guys, the three best guys. Yeah. That's what's hard.
If you need one guy to stumble, sometimes your one guy will stumble, but there's no way that all three of those guys are going to stumble. So, you said it. I think it's the same. I think it's down to those three. And, we'll find out on Sunday. But if all three of them are still alive in the semifinals, won't that be fun?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just so excited. Hopefully all the listeners out there, you hear me laughing, because this is why you work all this season, you follow all these people all year long, and then you realize the intensity of one race for everything. That's incredible. It's exactly how you're supposed to draw it up. I don't like the idea of, crowning champions 6 races before the end of the season. And this is what we wanted. Hopefully it will be a packed house out there in Pomona. Pro Stock, Erica, what a great victory for Erica. Beats Jag in the final round, 92 points up on her teammate, 113 up on Bo, 116 up on Jason, 118 up on Matt Hartford. Jason and Matt kind of got after it first round, and Jason took down Matt, and so we got a scrum there for third. But I'm not calling this because of what happened in Indy, and I know the racing gods are mean people sometimes. So Erica's got to go out there and win a round.
They might as well go ahead and put Erica's name on the trophy. She's going to be the champion. I don't think, unless she forgets where Pomona is. That team, and I said it since Indy. She's got a really good car, and she's mad, and that's a scary combination. And she has shown what she can do with a really good car, especially when she's mad. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that she's going to win her third championship, and she absolutely deserves it. The trials and tribulations that they went through when they swapped brands and couldn't get that going, and then coming back and with the kind of being behind for the last couple of years because of that. The fact that Elite now is back in position where they're making horsepower that can win races, and they've got, obviously 2 of the best drivers on the planet out there. But this championship is Erica's. You can just put her name on the trophy.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and a 3-time Pro Stock World Champion. Like, that is an amazing stat. But, the racing gods, man, they scare me. But I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see it work out in the right way. They have had such a great year. We had a great interview with Erica, everybody. It's in last week's show. But, yeah.
But if you want to talk about the racing gods, don't you feel like they owed Alex Laughlin one? I mean, I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind that he had the best car going into Gainesville final.
Yeah.
And breaks a rocker arm in the burnout. It's
yes.
Like, come on, man.
Yes.
And so, you know what? He lost a major race on a freak mechanical issue, and then he ended up coming back and winning a major race on a freak mechanical issue in the other lane. So if you want to equate this to the racing gods, they were evening up with Alex. They weren't. I don't think they were going after Erica. I think they were evening up with Alex.
I like that. I think that's a really good way to look at it. But now that's really good that you're able to keep up with the deposits and withdrawals from the racing gods. But that is an excellent point. And because Alex did, he didn't get the race for it.
I don't have the full bank book, but there are just certain things that stick in the mind, when you watch and go, ugh, because somewhere down the line, Doug Collette is going to come out on the right end of something stupid happening to the car in the other lane. And the first thing I'm going to remember is when he was in Vegas, when he's running for the championship, when he's got Torrance in the other lane, and it's like, come on, man. And there's nobody that is better at maintenance and at details and at checking than Collette Motorsports. There's not a situation where, oh, well, yeah, that wire's been frayed for a couple of weeks. We taped it up. We thought it'd be okay. That doesn't happen over there. And so for something freak like that to happen, there will come a day when that swings the other direction and comes back to him.
Yes, and hopefully it does. And you never know. Maybe it'll be this weekend. Maybe it'll be the crazy thing that nobody expects. And finally, Matt Smith wins the race in Pro Stock Motorcycle. But if you're putting Erica's name on the trophy with a 92-point lead, what are you doing with Andrew Hines with a 115-point lead?
I put his name on the trophy in Indy.
Yeah. Well,
that might have been a little premature, but he has had such a dominant season. And yes, the Suzukis have certainly come to life in the countdown, and they've mixed things up, and they've made the Sunday racing much more exciting. But Andrew has had a great bike. He still has a good bike. I'm thinking, and believe me, I'm not going. I didn't put a bunch of money down on this in Vegas, but let me just tell you this: I will not be surprised in the least if Steve Johnson leaves Pomona with the trophy.
I agree. Well, we had him on before the Vegas race. I was trying to, gamble on the Cosmic Forces again like that. Like Steve Johnson gets a win after being on WFO. We had Matt Hagan, we had Brittany Force, we had Steve Johnson prior to the Vegas race. And so they all ended up winning except for Steve made the final round. But they're running so good. No shame there. Just got beaten. Matt Smith told me flat out. He said he knew he did not have the better bike. He dialed it up to 11 in every way possible, and it stuck, and he won. And sometimes that happens.
Yeah, and Matt and Angie hung around for the week, and he came up in the tower Monday testing. We chit-chatted a little bit, and he's pretty confident about his program right now, too. He's crushed that he let Charlotte get away. And, the bottom line is, and he said flat out, he said, it shouldn't have taken me that many runs to figure out what was wrong with the bike. But if you remember, 4 times down the track in qualifying, it never went in high gear.
Right.
And then he comes up qualified in the bottom half of the field and lost, just got his tail kicked. Then he goes home, tears the thing apart, and it's like, oh, there it is, let's fix it. And then comes back, and all of a sudden he's fast again. But that race is the reason that he's not a factor in the championship, because in Charlotte, if he goes to the semis, if he goes to the final, I think that his name would be in the mix. But that one thing, I think, is what took him out. And, it's Andrew, not quite Erica level mad, but after he was shut out of the winner's circle in 2018, he came back in 19 going, this ain't happening to me again. And, whatever it is, the it thing, he made it work this year and came out mad at the beginning of the year, and he's been beating up on everybody, and that includes Eddie in the process.
Yes, no, it's so true. And so here we are going into the final race, and champions will be crowned. But, it's not all about the champions as much as it is. Every points position is worth some cold, hard cash, baby. And I look at Jerry second, Eddie third, Matt fourth, Karen fifth, all within, just a couple of points, right? Those top three that I mentioned, 115 back, 116 back, 117 back. So 3 points, 3 positions. When they hand out the checks at the end of the year, the difference between 5 and 2, it's a big difference. You want to get as many points as possible. So as much as Andrew's going to be the champ, everybody's still jockeying for position.
Yeah, and and you also want to get that last win. Whoever gets the last win is undefeated until we get to Gainesville. So that's the longest string that you get during the course of the year. And every bike that you mentioned there, and as I said, Steve Johnson earlier, I think is very, very capable of winning a race. Wouldn't it be nuts if Eddie went winless on the year after Andrew went winless on the year?
Bizarre.
And that right now, could very well happen. But it's amazing how much the Suzukis have come to life since Indy, and I'm already looking forward to next year, because I think there were some things learned in the tail end of this year that are going to continue to make the class very entertaining for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts on Vegas 2 before we head to Pomona? Clearly, it's the it's going to be the biggest, most significant race of the entire season, because the champions will be decided. We have no idea which way it's going to go in Top Fuel and Funny Car.
Just a couple. I mean, one, the crowd in Vegas was outstanding. It wasn't quite a sellout, but it was certainly outstanding. I think, the job that Jeff Foster and the people there at the Strip do. I love the fact that they open lane 4, and that's a general admission fan area. You can come stand on the racetrack while they're racing on the other side of the racetrack, and I think that's pretty cool. The weather certainly was in our favor, and I have a really simple pass-fail meter for every race Sunday night when the thing's over with and in the books, and that is, as you've heard me say time and time again, if this was the first time you experienced an NHRA event, would you come back? And if there was anybody in Vegas that was there for the first time and went, yeah, that's okay, then please don't ever come back, because we got nothing for you. If you were there and didn't think that was an awesome show, then thank you for giving us a shot. Go take up needlepoint or whatever. But, between Stevie Fast winning again, and between all of the drama that we saw in all the other categories, and the pro stuff is pretty much all that we've talked about, but the sportsman racing was outstanding as well. That was a great race, and anybody that watched that and thought it was just okay, then I don't know what we got to do to entertain you.
What was it? Was it the Super Gas final round that was like 002 dead 4 beating
003 dead 5 lost to 001 dead 3?
How great is that? That is awesome stuff.
And the Super Comp final, when one of the guys is Dan Fletcher, the difference on reaction time is 1,000th of a second. The guy with a 1,000 advantage runs exactly perfect and locked him out. It's like, come on, man. And it was the same thing this past weekend at the regional, and it was quarterfinals, I want to say, in Super Gas. A guy's perfect, taking 6th thou. And he gets a pat on his head for his trouble, and now get out of the way. The real cars are racing from now on. But it was just the whole day was like that. It was nuts, the number of times you're like, can you believe that just happened? In the shootout races, and I don't know if you saw, I posted on Twitter, we have W.W. Williams shootout races that go for the year for the .90 categories on the division trail. And then the year-ending race, this being the last one, the 8 best of the year come back and run shootout races. And in 10 minutes, we had 2 perfect runs. 000 dead on 0, 000 dead on 0. One in Super Comp, one in Super Gas. On the national event trail, we've had 1 all year, and we had 2 of them within 10 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, if you're the guy in the other lane, it's annoying.
Yes, that would bother you. I can imagine.
But it really is, it's so entertaining to watch, especially if you're a racer, if you understand, the number of guys around the country that, are sending text messages, or I opened up my announcer email last week, and they're like, did that really just happen? Or can you believe this? And it was just crazy. And that's what makes it fun.
It's so true, so true. And we got one more to go, and it is this weekend. Super excited about that. Now, did you get to do any of SEMA? There was some news that came out of SEMA, some interesting things going down. Audrey Worm is putting together her team. It's going to be all female with Ashley Fye as crew chief and Jenna Drake, formerly Jenna Haddock, as car chief. And they're going to kind of try to get, like an all-lady team going, which is interesting. There was, a fair amount of storylines coming out of there. The NHRA booth was rocking. Did you get by there? Did you get to mow the lawn at all?
Yeah, I was there on Tuesday for a while. Actually, I was there. I believe I was there when you were on stage, when you were doing your interview segment. But I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. Tuesday was the only day I was there. I was out at the racetrack Monday for the testing. Had a story I had to write for National Dragster. Got that handled. But Tuesday was my day at SEMA. And you know me. We've had the conversation before. I'm more of a PRI guy just because I want to go see the racing stuff, and it's more concentrated at PRI, where SEMA is more everything automotive. But I spent a half a day or so out there and touched a couple of bases and stopped by the NHRA booth to put in an appearance. So it certainly looked like a good show. It certainly looked like a well-attended show.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday, it was out of control, uncomfortable, out of control. Thursday and Friday, much more manageable. And I agree with you. As much as SEMA is neat, right? And the SEMA cars, right? The show cars, the things that people work on to be in there, they're great. Yes, I'm a PRI guy also. This is everything racing. It's all racing, various forms of racing, which is what we do. Rock crawling and, low riders, which are great. I like them, but more focused on the racing. Good times, though. Well, Alan, that's it. Here we go. Final preview show of 2019 in the books. I appreciate a whole season of effort that you have put in.
Well, thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure all these years, and look forward to continuing the relationship. But should be a fun one, and travel safe. I'll see you in Pomona.
Thank you so much, Alan. We'll see you in Pomona. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here on WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Certainly you're going to want to download and subscribe so you never miss any of the winter break programming. What are we going to do? Who are we going to speak with? All the champions. You're going to hear all the champions on WFO Radio. We're going to try to catch up with everybody, all the champions. Drew Skillman, he's already there on Factory Stock Podcast. We already spoke with Ty Tharp. We got a couple of them in the books, but Ali Dahl and all the others going to be on WFO Radio. Going to check in with Stevie Fast about winning the E3 Spark Plugs presented by J&A Service Pro Mod Championship. All that coming up during the winter break on WFO Radio. And some very well earned, rest time, of course. Rest time. So I'm excited. And I just want to build upon some of the things that we talked about with Alan, in that my opinion is, if you are not interested in what's going on right now, I hate to position it this way, but this is the way it is. You are not a fan. Now, you're listening to WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, so that's not you. You're listening to this podcast. This is how you know you're the most diehard of NHRA fans. People browse on Facebook. I see things that people write. Facebook presents some drag racing stuff, and they like it and see it, but they're not engaged, hardcore fans. All right? You, as WFO Radio listeners, you're engaged, hardcore fans because you download this podcast. That's how you know. Now, maybe not just this one, maybe others, maybe more. And liking something on Facebook, as much as I'm on Facebook, or seeing a banner ad or browsing through something, that's one thing. But engaging with a podcast is a totally different thing. You're much more intense. So you've got Steve and Brittany within basically half a round. You've got Doug Coletta within 2 rounds. And then you got Billy Torrance inside of 3 rounds. Now, it's highly unlikely Billy is going to win the whole thing. It's highly unlikely. I don't want to count him out because the math says he can do it. But really, for Steve and Brittany and Doug to all stumble and Billy to go on and win the race, it's possible, but highly unlikely. If this was Texas Hold'em poker, his odds of winning the hand would be 8%, something like that. So I'm paying that lip service right now. If that were to happen, then it would be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comeback, shock, upset in NHRA countdown history, I think. And the final race to come from 4th to win it, because the top 3 have all stumbled in the first round. But you never know. You never know. That's why I pay it lip service. But let's move beyond that. If Doug Coletta defeats Brittany in the semis, and Steve happens to lose in the semis, and then Doug wins the race, Doug is the champ. Not adding qualifying points at this moment. That is very reasonable. That happened last week, except Doug lost in the semis. You go to the semis and lose a lot. It's not unbelievable to expect that Brittany and Steve could go to the semis and lose, and then Doug win the race. So what would that mean? That would mean that Doug Coletta has exercised all demons of his career for the most part, like winning the U.S. Nationals and the championship in the same year, coming from behind to vanquish Capco and John Force Racing. It would be a stunner. It would be a shock. It would be an upset. But also not really, because Doug Coletta is an amazing driver and everybody loves him. And it would be a very popular win. Like, Doug finally got his championship. So that would not be a bad story. Brittany Force. Should she beat Steve Torrence in the final round? Final round. Brittany versus Steve, just like last week. Brittany wins, just like last week. Brittany's the champ. What would that be? Well, Brittany had beaten Steve 2 out of the last 3 seasons. And suddenly, it creates this, there's already friction. But it creates this very interesting dynamic and rivalry. If I was Steve, I would certainly be uncomfortable about the 600-point lead and losing the lead. And then Brittany comes on strong in the countdown, and they were just okay. And she has won 1 race, but she beat him head-to-head. And then if she beats him head-to-head again, then she deserves to be the champ. Wow. And a lot of people will be upset and a lot of people will complain, but the bottom line would be, this is the system and everybody knows the system and you can complain about the system. You might not like the system, but this is the system and everybody knows that this is the system. And if you lose in the system, you lose. That's it. And everyone, there's all kinds of reasoning and excuses and, like, oh man, he had a 600-point lead. And yes, that's true. But when it mattered in the final 6 races in the knockdown, drag out, throw down, countdown, Brittany won. And Brittany's the champ 2 out of 3 years. And maybe there's reasons, et cetera, and so on. But Brittany's a 2-time Top Fuel champ if that happens. Think about that. That would be an incredible storyline. And if you can't get into Brittany versus Steve with Doug there, you're not a fan. Well, I hate them both. Well, what do you want? You want Joe Amato to come out of retirement and go down and race on the track? Kenny Bernstein versus Joe Amato and Snake in it? Get with it here. This is as good as it gets. Brash, smack-talking, doesn't, really care. Lets it fly, shows his emotion. Steve Torrence has had the dominant car of the last 3 years. Lost the first championship because they had a crash and were unprepared for rebounding from the crash. Listen, he was lucky to be alive. That's what the real deal is. You trade that. You trade the championship for survival in that Dallas crash. We're happy we have Steve. That's it. Next year, sweeps the countdown. The perfect countdown. This year, dominating all year long. Start off a little slow, dominates. Guess what? Got to the countdown, got taken out once by Clay Millican, fired a shot, then runnered up, got beat by his dad, 20 points there. There's all the points that are on the table. You can follow along, all of them. Head-to-head final round, Brittany beat him. So if Brittany wins the championship, Brittany deserves the championship. And there's a lot of people rooting for Brittany Force. A lot of people that would fundamentally change her dynamic with this confidence she's got. And she's hitting the gym all the time. And when she says Steve's shaking in his boots, wow, that was unprompted. Bravado, yes. And so that would be an interesting story because there would be debate all offseason long. Would that be the best outcome? I don't know. And then the most likely of outcomes. I don't know. I think the most likely of outcomes. I don't know. We'll see. The Capco team wins. Beats Brittany in the final round. Brittany loses semis. Steve goes farther. Who knows? Capco wins. Capco wins. That is a great story, too. That is a great story because the reign of terror of this family-owned team assembled down there in Kilgore, Texas, and brought in a bunch of, misfits from all around the place. Bobby Lagana's Happy Warriors, whatever you want to call them, however you want to do it. They had an incredible season, gave up the largest points lead ever, and like Bobby Lagana told me on the starting line, haymakers, bloody knuckle haymakers, fighting people off in the countdown, fighting against everybody. They're all at their best at the same time. They're all planned for this. And Steve Torrence wins back-to-back championships. and continues to be the face of the sport and continues to be the brash, smack-talking, fun-loving, cowboy from Texas that drives these 11,000 horsepower beasts and goes and, ropes cows for fun. All of those storylines, they are all awesome. They are all awesome. Where do you fall? Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? All of those things. I don't know. Meanwhile, you got Leah, you got Austin, you got Mike Salinas, you got Antron Brown, you got Richie Crampton, you got Clay Milliken, all trying to shuffle through the points. And with points and a half, any one of those guys at the back of the points, they can climb that list and make a lot of money. Oh, yeah, there's money. Don't forget that. Money. 50 grand makes a difference. And it gets higher and higher the higher you climb. And so I'm excited. To me, Top Fuel, that's it. That's where it's at. Super excited. But then you look at Funny Car. You got Robert Hight, 46 up on Beckman, 56 up on Hagan. So those things about the semifinals that I said are all, depending on qualifying points, but are all true. If Hagan beats Robert Hight in the semis and goes on to win the race, he's the champ. John Force is 72 back and forth. He's going to need a little help. So you got 3 drivers with legitimate shots to win the championship, and if they all stumble and John goes all the way, then maybe he could win. It's possible. But he needs to go on a crazy, getting qualifying points. Tasca's 104 back. Tasca's had a, Tasca's countdown has been very tough. He's been beaten on a couple of hole shots by Matt Hagan 3 times. He's only 104 back. Just those points right there put him like 40 back. And that's why the countdown is amazing. Now, that having all been said, who do I think? Well, predictions is tough. But the guys who have dominated all year, and here we are going to the Auto Club Finals, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Hight went out there and qualified number 1 and won the race. I wouldn't. Same with Capco. I wouldn't. They've dominated over the course of the season for a reason. Robert's got Jimmy and Chris Cunningham. I wouldn't be surprised. Just wouldn't be surprised. Championships will be decided. It's going to be amazing. Pro Stock, Erica, 92 up. The interview with Erica in last week's show, if you didn't hear it, you got to hear it. The glow of victory was amazing. It was really fun. Bo Butner, 113 back. Jason Line, 116 back. Matt Hartford, 118 back. And there it is. The battle for second and third. But she's 3 rounds up. 3 rounds up. Now, that's a racing gods thing. You go out there, she tries to qualify. She qualifies. She gets qualifying points. She tries to extend that as much as possible, win first round. A lot of people are saying, foregone conclusion. Nothing is a foregone conclusion. I will not say that. Pro Stock Motorcycle is pretty much a foregone conclusion. Andrew Hines, 115 up on Eddie Krawick and Jerry Savoy, Eddie Krawick, and Matt Smith, all within 3 points of each other. 115, 116, 117 behind each other. It's been Andrew Hines. That's it. He's dominated all season. He's dominated. This is the way it is. He's going to the semis and finals and countdown. It's really about the Nitro categories for the real drama. And I'm super excited. And hopefully you're going to be out there. Hopefully you're all coming out. And that's that. Once again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Go to WFOradio.com, SoundCloud. We got Stitcher. There's just wherever you get your podcasts. Plug it right into your phone. You get a podcast catcher, and you're good to go. Podcast apps, good to go. Your mobile device. But this season has been incredible. I don't have the vocabulary to describe how amazing I think it has been. Have had a lot of fun personally, but the racing and the monster matchups and the importance. Watching Jason Line and Matt Hartford go at each other first round out there in Vegas, knowing that that's it. Someone's championship is going to be they're going to be knocked out. Who's it going to be? Runs like that. And that's why I wobbled on my opinion of the countdown for a couple of moments this year. Beckman talking about it. But I still love the concept. Massive moments. And we'd be paying attention, but it would be very different right now. If Steve had long been crowned the champ, it'd be very different. All right, thanks to our sponsors once again. samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Call Brian Massengill. Get on the website. If you're thinking about doing it, I just need to convey to the young people out there, Blockhead CNC program, you want to become a crew member, you want to work to be a go-getter at an engine shop, involved in racing, etc. Samtech.edu is the way to do it. Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak, hot sauces and spice rubs. Go to the website, RODAKS, CoffeeandGrills.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. Do it. Or get your Super Comp license, Super Gas license, Alcohol Funny Car license. Learn to drive. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA, and Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Boy, have I learned a lot about piston rings over the past couple of months. All right, the finals are coming up. This is it. Get fired up, baby, and the archive is loaded. If you did not listen to that Vegas Winners show, you've got to go in there from the Winner's Circle. Lots of real cool people, including we had Dave Fletcher, the track specialist from Don Schumacher Racing, was out there. Mark Stockseth, sponsor for Erica and Matt Smith, out there. Passionate racing fan. Sponsor, like personal sponsor. You need to know these people. If you did not hear that episode, go check it out. All right, everybody, WFO will see you in Pomona, the finals.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO radio.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, engine builders, Total Seal Piston Rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com. You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to MagicDryUS.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. MagicDryUS.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's MagicDryUS.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport EFI tuning and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for Super Comp, Super Gas, all the way up to Top Alcohol. They can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. We're talking gourmet coffee, we're talking hot sauces, we're talking spice rubs, we're talking everything good at Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak, been doing it since the 70s, figured out that life is better with great coffee, and oh, he's so right. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. He'll roast up some coffee fresh for you. Throw in some hot sauce, some spice rub, and you will be loving it. Hit him up, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
This is WFO Radio.